Love that jingle. It's great. It's great. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm JJ. That's Deacon. We are your internet dads. It says so on the sign. We meet here Monday through Friday to drink coffee, read the news. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you have questions or comments or anything, make sure to drop something in the chat. And while you're here, like, subscribe. Listen, you can always unsubscribe later, right? All right. Okay. So we got this is one of those mornings. This is going to be one of those mornings. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to be on the show. I got a couple of news stories. We might talk about those. We might not. I don't know.
It's been a weird week. We spent 20 minutes yesterday giving financial budgeting.
No, not financial, but budgeting advice.
Budgeting recommendations. Yeah, I was trying to think of the proper wording there. Budgeting recommendations from more. Yeah.
The question of the day is: will Eric Adams escape New York? There's an old like media saying that anytime a headline is a question mark, the answer is no. Do you know that? Like literally look up any story in any newspaper that has that's a question, but it's an engaging question, right? Like, so you're like, oh, will he escape New York? No, he's not escaping.
Yeah, you want engagement. I mean, especially the newspapers and the media, but they don't operate like radio did. We want engagement, direct engagement from the people. Okay, but news and they don't want direct engagement. They want you to read what they've got. So they use different strategies to get you to do that.
Right.
In radio, what we would do is for a while there on the morning show, we would have a topic and we would bring up the topic and try to get people to call in and talk about the topic and record the best ones and put them on the air and stuff.
Right.
And some mornings we could not get anyone to call in. So we would get the DJ that worked in the country station next door. Hey, dude, come here. Call the request lines real quick. Here's what we're talking about, and say something a little controversial. Don't get us in trouble, but say something to push someone, like you're against this, and this is why, and make it sound silly, and that gets people fired up. And by God, it worked every time. Phones would start, that guy's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Oh, well, I think this. Oh, great. And then I clip that down and I've got my soundbite. But they do the same thing in media. The question mark.
Yeah.
Read that. I'm like, ooh.
Oh, yeah. Because you're like, oh my God, is he really going to escape from New York? And you open the story, it's like, oh, here's some ding dong pills, and you make sure to buy some soap here. And oh no, he's not at all.
Yeah, 3 paragraphs down.
Yeah. So we got look, you know how much Deacon and I care about New York, but we got New York news anyways. So like a few things. So I do want to touch on some of these things. So the first one is Eric Adams. Now, we have not really been covering this story on Eric Adams. We did talk about Eric Adams probably like 6 months ago, because maybe 6 months to a year ago, because 6 months to a year ago, the story was Texas and Florida were putting migrants on buses that wanted to go, and we were sending illegal immigrants that had crossed our border. We were just shipping busload after busload after busload to New York, Chicago, anywhere they wouldn't want to go. Let's just get out of Texas. Like we can't send you back to Mexico or Honduras or El Salvador or wherever. We're not allowed to do that, but we're just going to get you out of Texas because it's a strain on our system. So at first it was like, oh, the Texas Governor Abbott and the Texans are just so racist, they're kicking people out of here. And then as more busloads began to arrive, and more, you heard stories out of Chicago. Remember Beetlejuice Woman, and then she got replaced, and then there was Eric Adams. They were like, we welcome migrants. We're a land of migrants. We love migrants. And then a few months later, it was like tens of thousands of migrants, illegal immigrants in New York City. And finally, Eric Adams started coming out with like, this is too much. New York is now a border state. I don't know if that was a quote from him directly, but he started talking about how it was too hard. It was too much. And I was like, you guys have got like 1% of these people. We got 200,000 in Texas. So So Eric Adams started coming out against the administration because the administration, the Biden administration, the Democrat establishment was not doing enough to curb illegal immigration. It was now landing in New York, and they couldn't sustain the they couldn't take the pressure. Okay, so now that was the story last year. Eric Adams basically coming against the Biden administration. Well, lo and behold, totally unrelated, I'm sure. Now we know we're hearing stories of Eric Adams being indicted for criminal charges. Isn't it strange? The federal government that Eric Adams vocally opposed has now dug in, and they're just going to find some dirt on Eric Adams. Eric Adams is now indicted on federal criminal charges. New York City mayor vows to fight. I always knew that if I stood my ground for New Yorkers, that I would be a target, and a target I became. Now, I am not saying Eric Adams is an innocent man. No, he's a Democrat. I'm definitely never going to say that. But isn't it strange? Isn't it strange that a Democrat seemingly standing up for the people of New York, taking a stand against the party and the wanton illegal immigration, has come under scrutiny, and lo and behold, they found something to charge him with. I mean, that's quite the coincidence.
That never happens.
Can't believe that. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has vowed to fight after he was indicted by a Manhattan grand jury on federal criminal charges Wednesday evening. The Justice Department and FBI have declined to comment on the indictment, which is currently sealed. They won't even tell us what the indictment was for. My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges would be entirely false based on lies, but that would not be surprising. Now, once again, am I on Eric Adams' side? Nope. But do I believe that the federal government will lie about him? Yep, for sure. Let's see. I always knew that if I stood my ground for New Yorkers, I'd be a target, and a target I became. If I am charged, I am innocent. I will fight with every ounce of strength and spirit. The FBI is investigating his 2021 mayoral campaign for potential conspiracy with Turkish government and other entities, Fox News reports. So, do you have any thoughts? AOC. Oh, and by the way, AOC is calling for him to resign. I do not see how Eric Adams can continue governing New York City. The flood of resignations and vacancies are threatening government. Look, maybe he's a bad guy. Maybe he's done some bad stuff. Maybe he took some cash from some bad guys. I don't know. Deke, have you been following this at all? What do you think, sir?
Your first question, have I been following this at all? I can say that I have been scouring the internet, and no, I've not been following this at all.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care about Eric Adams. And number two, I don't know. You know, that old wheel comes around. Sometimes you're at the top, sometimes you're at the bottom. You got a wheel. You got to ride out the ride because that old wheel. And don't forget, when you're at the bottom, you will come back to the top again. That old wheel always rolls around.
Now, am I missing some alternative explanations here? So far, I have three. One, Eric Adams is innocent of this altogether, and it's made up, right? Okay. Two, he's completely guilty of this, and they're catching him. My hair is bad today. He's completely guilty of this. Or three, yeah, he's guilty of it, but they wouldn't do anything except that he had to run his mouth about illegal immigrants and stand up to the federal government. And so they decided, he's expendable, and they run him down. I mean, that kind of seems like it. You just can't put it out of the, you cannot rule it out, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's not good. But at least the rest of us Americans are totally safe from
look at these happy New Yorkers.
Oh my God. No, God.
Look at those two guys. They are happy to be standing on the subway smelling urine and marijuana. Look how happy they are. I weighed like
that was like 6 years ago. If we went today, we would probably be mugged on the subway.
It was a
all
long
right,
time ago.
let's see. It was a long time ago. Let's see. I have another New York story, I think. Where is it at? That's you. That's Yeezy. Maybe it's not New York story. Maybe it was an FBI story. Yeah, it's got to be an FBI story. All right, so let's run this. Did you post the same thing? You posted the same thing. Oh, I didn't realize that. We're gonna run this. It is connected because it's FBI. This is a little bit of a clip here, but we're gonna run this. It's funny that we found the same clip. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, from the halls of Congress, an FBI whistleblower has a statement.
They're fearing what Donald Trump would do in the next administration while they sit here and they look at the guy who's been persecuted by the FBI. And everybody in the room understands it. Mr. Allen, do you have comments you wish to make? I'll give you about a minute and a half, and then I want to turn the rest of my time to Mr. Jordan.
Yes, sir. I would just say that I consider the hearing today my last act of service as a public servant for the United States of America. And I'll give you my professional opinion. I was an intel professional for our country for many years, and I would give recommendations, and I'd also look at indications and warnings. So I would offer this to the American people as my warning to them. Since this is a warning to the American people, I say, I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I've been persecuted along with Garrett, Steve and Kyle, and countless other whistleblowers. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. It has been a seemingly effective tactic. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in. Their ability to overclassify information can allow them to stonewall forever. To the American people, you have a duty as a citizen to vote, and I strongly urge you to do so. It's how you participate in the American experience. I know people have doubts about election integrity, but you must vote. It is your claim. Stake your claim and don't forfeit it willingly.
This
Have
guy's
your
emotional.
voice heard.
You can hear his voice breaking.
Other recommendations are in the natural order. First, vote. The second is the Second Amendment. Arm yourself and know how to defend yourself. Make 3 to 4 friends in your neighborhood and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. And during the Great Depression, people stocked up a pantry. So I think that's a good practice, especially in our economic times, and make sure you have 3 to 4 months of food. As a person of faith, I'd say pray the rosary, go to the First Friday devotions. That's for everybody, all my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I know I'm Catholic, and read the gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live it every day. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for the time.
You know, Mr. Allen, the fact that there are
Wow.
servants like you who have borne up under persecution that a lot of political leaders in this country do not care about is the thing that heartens the American people. And I'm confident the American people will resolve the situation.
Yeah, somebody needs to protect that guy. Like he
Well,
needs to have a citizen militia that's constantly protecting him and his family.
I mean, I don't know. I think that, I mean, whatever his story is, he's some sort of a whistleblower from the FBI. I mean, like the FBI.
You can tell that he was very nervous. I mean, yeah, you're talking in front of a bunch of Congress people, so there is a hint, there is a little bit that you're going to get nervous there. Most people are scared to death of a microphone anyway. I can't tell you how many times I've handed a microphone to somebody and they're like, I mean, I can't count the number of times. And so, yes, you have to add in those factors for his nervousness. He is speaking in front of some political bigwigs. He is speaking in front of a microphone. He might not be comfortable doing that, but you could tell that he was. It was a nervousness in his shakiness in his voice.
His name is Marcus Allen. He's a former FBI special operations specialist. So, wow.
Yeah, the egg story I had on that said, yeah, it was the same thing, I'm guessing. But what he said is not bad advice. I mean, you should probably have some dry foods and stuff stocked up.
Right?
Beans and rice are cheap and they are filling and it's protein. Seriously,
No, you're not wrong. I was just
you
thinking, I
can
don't know what the price is right now.
you can can all kinds of stuff. You can like hamburger meat. You can cook hamburger meat and can it, and it doesn't taste the greatest when you use it, but it's okay.
I will suggest that especially many of us in the last that have been born and raised and lived and God, I can't even imagine kids right now, but in the last 40, 50 years, you have always had access to groceries at the store. You have always had access to fresh food. You have always had access. It's a very real possibility that access is going to come to a rapid halt. Okay, maybe not a prolonged halt, but it could very sudden. Like, do you know how fast a grocery store will run out of food if they don't get a shipment? If we have some sort of a natural breakdown in something we
think of it this way too, because we've had this conversation. I have, and I haven't in a long time, but I still remember, and I could catch on really quickly. I have skinned a fish, filleted a fish. I have skinned and field dressed a deer, and I have skinned and field, done that to a squirrel in my lifetime. And I would probably need some pointers again, but I can remember steps and stuff. When you field dress a deer, there's certain steps that you need to go through. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't go through those steps, you'll ruin the meat. And
really?
Yeah, and how many people
don't puncture the stomach, line acid, that kind of stuff.
Right? Yeah, and there's a scent gland back there, and there's stuff that you can ruin the meat. And how many people know how to do that?
Well, okay, so even if you could, skin a deer or some sort of a wild animal, most people live in urban areas. Okay, so the way that urban and suburban areas are going to go is that those areas are going to run out of food, and there isn't game for you to run down. There isn't game for you to catch. So the people in the most dense urban areas are going to. He's on the phone. The people in the most dense urban areas are going to go out into the suburban areas and get food from the people that have food. So there'll be roving, groups of people looking for food. They're going to raid grocery stores. They're going to run out materials more quickly. But there isn't wild animals for people to catch. The people in the suburban and farther out rural area, okay, they're going to have access to resources for a little while. But very quickly, the people on the periphery of the urban environments will go out and will hunt that game too, or try to, probably hurt people accidentally. So when they're making the recommendations that you stock up on food supplies now, I mean, there's a lot of services like Patriot Food Supply, something like that. I don't know all necessarily. And you can buy these prepackaged kits that'll give you like 30 days of food. Is it great food? I don't know, but you'll be able to feed your kids for a little while.
Let me tell you another thing that's probably pretty good is get you a book or an app or something that will tell you about the grass and the plants that are around your area and your yard that you can use for healing and stuff like that. When the kids get a bug bite or a bee sting or something, Ashley and I both will go to the plantain. We'll go and walk around the yard until we find a piece of plantain. We'll grab the leaf. We'll put it in our mouth. We'll chew it up for a little bit and get the stuff activated, and we'll put it on the bee sting, and it draws out the poison. It heals. Yeah. You can do a lot of stuff with this little weed, this little grass in your yard.
You guys are in a suburban / rural environment, right?
Right. Yeah. More rural than rural. I hate that word. More rural than suburban.
Yeah, the thing I'm really concerned about is because urban concentrations and then there's suburbs around that, and then it could be dozens of miles before it gets to
and that's a good point. You've got suburbs and you've got all these people that's got grass in their yard, but it's grass that
ain't nothing else.
But it's grass that has been sown in their yard. You've got one type of grass that was professionally put there. We don't have that. Some houses have that here, the expensive houses, but most yards have. When I mow my yard, I'm going out through, there's crabgrass and there's, the golf course grass and there's there's like 7 different types of grass in my yard.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
I mean,
but there are a lot of healing plants that are setting out here that people have. Dandelion is one of them. A dandelion, we were told, was a weed, right? That's a weed, right? That's what we've been told.
Yeah.
You know who told us that? The freaking weed killer companies, the pharmaceutical companies. They're the ones that told you that, because the dandelion has so many medicinal uses that they don't want you to know that this little flower growing in your yard will do the same thing they're trying to sell you.
So let's rewind all the way back to the point here, which is what his advice is: stock up on food, learn how to defend yourself, value the Second Amendment, make a compact with your neighbors. Which, can you imagine? There's so many people, especially in places where I live, where people don't even know their neighbors.
Yeah,
they live right next to people for 5 years and they don't know their name. You need to meet your neighbors. You need to make some sort of an agreement with them. Like, if we come under hard times, like, I'll be there for you. If you'll be there for us, and like have some sort of an understanding, because you don't want to try to make that agreement when you're in the hard times. You're about to be a victim. And, pray, read the gospel. Yes, you do that. That is also a great way for you to make a compact with your neighbors, is to go to a church regularly. A lot of people are like, I don't believe in church, or I believe in God, but I don't need a church. Okay, sure. But going to church on a regular or semi-regular basis is a way for you to meet people in your community and know them. And when you come under hard times, you will have more people to draw on to help you out, and you can help them out. So, I mean, there's a practical sense, and then there's also like this like spiritual benefit of stop looking at your own nose and pray to God once in a while. Talk to your creator. Anyway, this is his advice. And then vote. His first notion is vote. So I have another post here from Representative Tom Tiffany. I thought I would show this to you, sir. Check this out. What we have here, let me make this so you can see it. Have a looky here. Do you recognize this? This is an official
ballot.
Official ballot. It's an official ballot. It's got the president. It's got Kamala, Donald Trump, Randall Terry, Chase Oliver, libertarians. You guys suck. Libertarians are terrible. There's Jill Stein. Hey, RFK is still on there. You can write some. Hey, you gotta vote for your senator. You gotta vote for a congressperson. Okay. So what's the big deal about this?
Yeah.
Although the Madison clerk's office claims the voting system does not allow a ballot with the same barcode to be submitted, his office has proof that there are no barcodes on the actual ballots. So, the system doesn't allow two ballots with the same barcode. Yeah, because it takes them with no barcode. There are no barcodes. If there are no barcodes on the ballots, then you cannot prevent a ballot from being counted twice.
Right.
Yep. But I'm sure that we have the safest and surest elections in all of human history.
We do. We've been told that many, many, many times by the people that use them to stay in power and keep their money. So we've got to believe them.
Here's a further statement. The Madison clerk's office original press release said nothing about a barcode on the envelope. They claimed it was on the ballot and only changed their quote after we exposed it. Why do they keep editing their statements in this press release? So here is Spectrum News from the 26th. Once the barcode is scanned, the voting system does not allow a barcode with the same barcode to be submitted. And then here the clerk's office has the voter is marked in the poll book as having submitted their absentee ballot as a safeguard against submitting a second ballot. So, So look, we got some shenanigans stirring up, but it is we still got about 40 something days till we all vote, and I'm sure we will know exactly who the president is. on election day. All right. Let's pick another story out of here. Let's see. Get that. Oh, a few days ago. Oh, come on, get over here. I think it was a week or two ago. No, it could have been. Yeah, it was probably last week. I think last week we covered this story that the FTC is finding that social media companies and streaming companies are engaging in mass surveillance. This is a shock to absolutely no one, but they got them to admit it. Federal regulator is saying that big tech companies' failure to adequately protect kids and teens online is especially troubling. The FTC has accused several major social media platforms and video streaming services of engaging in vast surveillance of consumers to monetize their personal information while failing to provide sufficient protections. Okay, that's on the one hand. Bear in mind that the FTC is accusing social media companies of surveying you, and bear this in mind. Last month, the owner of Telegram was arrested in France for not revealing your information. And now, Pavel Turov, I think his name is Pavel Turov, who's been arrested and held by the French authorities, will now provide IP addresses and telephone numbers to law enforcement. So, those social media companies, they're using your information wrongly. They say out of one side of their mouths, and on the other side of their mouths, you need to tell us all about your users. We need to know where they are. We need to know who they are. We need to know what's going on. We need to know what they're saying. What do you think about that? I know you probably don't use Telegram.
Chess pieces are being moved into place, is what it looks to me like. It looks like it's a chess game, and some pieces are being moved right before our eyes, and some right underneath your eyes. Watch the dancing lady and don't watch the guy moving the elephant in the background. Did you know that recently, just last week, the FCC has adopted an order to approve George Soros's purchases of more than 200 radio stations in 40 markets? The stations reach more than 165 million Americans, and staff at the FCC are concerned that the move is politically motivated. The commission's 3 Democrats voted for the move, while the 2 Republicans voted against it. Under existing FCC rules, foreign company ownership of U.S. radio stations is not supposed to exceed 25%. Soros took foreign investment to make his bid, and then filed a request for the commission to make an exception to the usual review process. The decision to fast track the approval process bypassed a national security review, which could have taken up to a year to complete. So if they had went through the process, it would have taken a year to complete this. But they're trying to fast track it so Soros can get control of these radio stations here before November. Okay, and I don't think
pause right on that. A national security review would have meant that that federal agencies would have looked at the deal, and then would have had to draw some conclusions, make some notes, or whatever. Those agency officials could be called before Congress to testify to the public on what they found or knew or whatnot. But if you bypass the NSA review, then the owners of radio stations don't have to appear before Congress and
it was they passed a law in the early 2000s that stopped radio stations from companies from owning more than, I think it was 9 radio stations in a market, in one single market. And that was a law for a long time until not too long ago, when they kind of repealed that, and that allowed the big companies to come back in and buy. Because you'll know in the 90s, you had major companies coming into these major cities, like major companies like Clear Channel was a company. They would come into a city, they would buy the 100,000 watt stations in that market for hot AC, for country, for, oldie, the smaller 50,000 watts for oldies and stuff like that. And that's why when you would go from St. Louis to Nashville to Louisville to North Carolina, to wherever, you could turn into the rock station and it would be very similar to the one in Houston.
Right.
The rock station that you're used to listening to in Houston, you go to Nashville and it's going to be very similar with different call letters and different numbers and stuff. But the music and the people and what they talk about is because it's all owned by the same company. They're all told what to play by a music director, a corporate music director. I used to have to edit music for a corporate music director. And if he didn't like it, you would just edit it out. And I had to do it. I got so many complaints. Why do y'all playing the edited version of that song? Because I'm told to.
Right. Yeah. Well, all right. So let me just circle back around here to this. So
the radio station thing is concerning to me because I've been in radio.
Yeah,
for
right.
a long
I didn't
time,
seen it.
But radio is really not that, on the horizon anymore. Young people most people don't listen to the radio. They don't. They listen to something on their phone. They listen to YouTube. I listen to an audio book on the way home, for Christ's sakes. So most people don't listen to the radio. So this would be a good time for you to come in and snatch 25-30% of the radio stations when nobody's paying attention. Because if something happens and you don't have internet and you don't have YouTube and stuff anymore, where are you going to get your information from? You're going to get it from the radio. You're going to get it from the terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
And if I own 30%, if I own 200 radio stations in 40 markets covering 165 million people, guess who gets to control the information?
Same message can go out, right?
Yeah, guess who gets to control the information? This is just very concerning.
Right.
It's staying off the media.
So,
the media's not talking about this. That's concerning to me.
So Pavel Turov, back to him, arrested for not cooperating with authorities because Telegram's encrypted, communications on Telegram are encrypted, and he wasn't going to give it up. So they want at least the metadata, and now he's going to give them that. But you notice who is not being harangued and chased down by federal authorities. Mark Zuckerberg, right? Elon Musk and of X. Elon's doing what he can, but he's complying with laws of the countries where his product is distributed. The other social media platforms, right? The Instagrams and the TikToks or whatever, they're not being harangued in by authorities for defying access to data, which means you can draw the conclusion that in the ways that Pavel Turov was not cooperating, that these other companies are. They are. So where you're at, who you're talking to, what you're doing, the authorities have access to that kind of information. So you should just assume that anything you're using on the internet is not encrypted or protected, And I'm not encouraging people to engage in criminal behavior. What I'm encouraging you to do is be mindful that, in fact, the opposite. Don't behave criminally, but do not think that anything you do is secret or protected. It's not.
Oh, and don't think that just because you type it into Google and what you see on Google is what you get. I had to go to a different search engine this morning to look up an article. I'd seen a video on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I want to know a little bit more about this. And I typed it into Google, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I had to go to a different search engine to look it up, and it's about the James Webb Telescope.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. And Google didn't have it. Well, it's like I asked my kids that one time about, I was like, do you know what Google Page 2 is? And they were like, what's that? I was like, exactly.
Right.
You don't even know what Page 2 is.
I don't think you're interested in this, but I'm going to just cover it anyway. Sorry. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg identifies as a libertarian, and he is now hiring a Republican strategist. Is Mark Zuckerberg getting slightly red-pilled ever since the Trump assassination? Do you think Zuckerberg is...
I think it opened his eyes a little bit. I think it opened his eyes a little bit. I think he probably had a philosophy that he was looking towards, like Abraham Lincoln and all these people. It's like, if Abraham Lincoln or what somebody had told him, if these powerful people, if somebody gets assassinated, that means they had a powerful message. And he probably had that mindset or something. And when that happened, it probably sparked something in his head to make him think, But I've seen a lot of those Democrat videos where the people will say, I had blue hair and I did this. And I finally watched one of his things and I was like, that's exactly what I want.
Right.
I'm like, I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, despite the fact that Zuckerberg had said that, that seeing Donald Trump stand up and pump his fist in the air after being shot was one of the most badass things he'd ever seen, that did not help him with the Republicans or the right, really, because the right are still like not happy with Zuckerberg. So he's hired a Republican strategist to help his relationship with Republicans, I guess. Sources who spoke with him recently said that he identifies as in private more closely with libertarianism or classical libertarianism. And I would say that would be fine, except for, because I would probably say a lot of the same things, like in classic libertarianism, libertarian, except for this year, the Libertarian Party went and nominated Chase Oliver, who's super gay, super trans, super all of that, mask in favor of forcing employees to mask up, all of that mess. So libertarians are gay.
Let me give you a couple of key pieces of information here that might help you, that might help you put a couple of puzzle pieces together about is Mark Zuckerberg being red pilled or what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Zuckerberg is 40 years old now.
Oh.
And Mark Zuckerberg is the father of 3 children.
Oh. He's getting dad pilled?
Doesn't that answer a lot of questions?
Okay. He has 3 kids for real?
3 kids.
I wonder if they're allowed to be on Facebook.
I doubt it. Have you listened to any of those people? Any of those executives and stuff? They do not let their kids get on social media at all. Yeah. None of them do. All right. I got one more kind of political thing here. JJ, me and you are superhero fans. We love superheroes, but not all superheroes, kind of identify themselves. Okay.
Oh,
this is a superhero.
Oh, okay.
They put a vote Democrat sign right above the damn shop. And that one right there is still available. So, should we do something?
We're going to get copyright struck now because of that. Freaking
yeah. That's pretty good. I saw this yesterday on my X feed, and I think I retweeted it. It's pretty funny. Yeah,
that's great. Oh, I love that. Just in the all superheroes do not wear capes.
Yeah. I mean, billboards are not cheap. So dude shelled out some cash or called his local party maybe, and they did it.
A couple more fun stories and we'll throw some stories over until tomorrow. Have you heard about those cities that they call them blue zones, but they're the cities where the people live exceptionally long times? Like there's a city in Italy where the people are, there's a lot of the people that live past 100 years old, and they've done documentaries where they eat fresh food and they do this and they stay in the sun or whatnot. Well, there was a Nobel Prize winner that recently debunked all of that crap and said that these blue zones where people live exceptionally long lives. Well, the reason they have those is because there's all kinds of errors and stuff that they use.
Errors. I heard about this.
Yeah, and Newman has struck a significant blow to the popular idea concerning so-called blue zones. These are places in the world that appear to have unusually high concentrations of extremely old people living within them. There's one in California, Okinawa, Italy, Costa Rica, Greece. The popularity of the idea is, let's see where it was. Newman believes the answer has less to do with any particular lifestyle factor rather than more to do with dodgy data. In his new preprint study, yet to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, he shows that the highest rates of achieving old age are predicted by 3 factors: high poverty, lack of birth certificates, and fewer 90-year-olds. Poverty in this context leads to greater pressure for a commercial to commit pension fraud. And it goes through and he analyzes every single one of these. But they say that no, it's not because of that. It's because like people are lying and they don't have their birth certificates, and they're lying. These people are lying.
That is right. Yes, it is. It's not that they live longer. It's that,
and I'm sure some of them do live longer, but there's not like 100 of them.
Yeah,
I had something else.
It's just lies. It explains everything. Yeah, you're 80. You're 80 years old, and somebody comes around and whatever. You just start exaggerating. Like, I'm 85. I've been at 85 years, and then a year later, yeah, it's 5 more years. I'm 90 years old. You just start, and then people around you, they don't know how old you are. They don't know when you were born. Even your family, they don't really know when you were born. You just start, and you get older, and you get just in the line, and like, well, I told somebody I was 90, so I'm just gonna.
There's been many times when I've been like, how old am I? Oh, I'll forget.
Let me tell you, the older you get, the more you have to do subtraction to figure out how old you actually are. You're like, oh yeah, I'm full. Hang on, carry the one.
Well, they make that joke when you have to give your birth. You have to put in your date of birth, and you have to keep scrolling and keep scrolling. I have to scroll down to get down to 1977. It sucks. I know. I'll go zing, and it's like in the 90s. I'm like, no.
Yeah. No, I hate.
All right. So, speaking of old and old things, do you like cheese?
I love cheese. Cheese is great.
Cheese is great. All right. I love to try cheese and whatnot. I have a cheese that you may not want to try. They recently dug up a mummy, and they were like in China, and they were like, what are these crazy rocks that are on this mummy? And they don't think it's rocks. They think it's the world's oldest cheese. Nearly 3,600-year-old cheese samples were discovered clinging to mummified bodies in northwest Japan. Look at it. Don't it look yummy?
Nope. No, thank you. Can we stop? Why are we digging people up? Can we just let people just be buried? I really never understood this. Why do we do this?
Well, people are buried everywhere. I'm sure they were digging somewhere and they come across this. We want to learn about ancient civilizations.
And the right thing to do is be like, oh my God, that's somebody's body. Dirt, put it back.
No, we got to learn about ancient civilizations. How are you going to freaking get smarter? You're just going to be like, oh, we came from.
You're not going to get smarter.
Neanderthals.
The ancient civilizations lied. The people that dug it up, they assumed things, and they lied.
You have no clue about any of the things that they have found in the last 20 years. It would blow your mind.
I don't
understand. Though is cow and goat. It has cow and goat DNA in it, and they identified it as kefir cheese, a fermented food made with kefir grains and a mix of bacteria and yeast. You know
what? One day, 500 to 1,000 years from now, your body is going to be dug up. And they're gonna be like, oh, this is what radio DJs lived at, and they're not gonna put you back in the ground. They're gonna put you in a museum.
Put me behind glass. Study. Be like, dude, look at this crazy guy.
Yeah,
look how weird his back was. Look at his bitch skull. Kids 500 years from now will be looking at my skull in a freaking, and they'll be like,
yeah,
this man participated in some 20th century rituals that made his head look like a ditch. He wore headphones for 40 years.
Oh my God.
Squeezed his brain.
That's funny. Yeah.
Dig me up. Yeah. Let kids study about how weird I was. I'm cool with that.
I don't want to.
You're not cool with that?
Dug up. No. Leave me in the ground. Jesus will get me out when he's ready to. But for real, why? I don't understand why we dig people up.
This is a meat body. This is just a dream. I have a cute little thing that I could play, but it will definitely get us copyright stricken on YouTube.
Oh no. Well, that makes it a good time to remind everybody, go to rumble.com/internetdads, link in the description below.
I got another one here I was going to save this one for Dave, but supposedly there's these Coke machines that will You can type names and it will print it on the Coke and then give you the Coke with the name on it. But
Don't drink soda.
these Coke machines will not allow you to put Jesus on the Coke, but
Are you serious?
it will allow Satan, Allah, all of the
Wow.
Babylonian gods and demons. You can put that on the Coke can, but there's
That's
people. And
nuts.
there's a video. There's a video of it. Let me show you the video.
Can personalize a
What about-
message. You can put.
What if you do it
Allah,
with an accent? You can't say
Love you.
Jesus.
or you could even put. Let me see. Let's just try it out. Buddha loves you. But you cannot even type in the word Jesus.
Whoops.
We cannot allow this text on the can. Everything else is good though. Even if I put, let's see, Satan.
Oh no, bro.
Hold on. Satan loves you. You can put that. You can put Satan loves you, Allah loves you, Buddha loves you. But when you type in this word, you can't even type the word in.
Wow.
So be sure and go and purchase your Coke and all your Coke products and everything that Coke makes today. While you're, you got to have your Diet Coke. Oh, got to have that Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Gotta have your Mountain Dew. Got to have that.
No,
Red
you
Bull.
don't.
You know how much stuff is made by Coke?
I mean, there's only how many food companies are there in the U.S.? Like real,
six.
like a lot of them are subsidiaries.
Yeah, I think
of-
there's like six major ones. Okay, that's all my stuff today.
All right. Well, I told you it was going to be one of those days. One of those days. But we have time for we do have time for hilarious jokes. Come on, shut up, phone. My phone's talking. Here we go. Hilarious jokes, as promised, every single day. Deacon. What do you get when your bunny gets wet?
I don't know.
You don't know what you get when your bunny gets wet?
No.
You get your hair dryer.
Not bad. Not bad.
See, it's a bad. Let's try again.
Yeah. Don't hit the button again.
How about
Jeez.
this?
All right.
No, I know.
We got a better one.
Frankenstein enters a bodybuilding competition and he finds that he has seriously misunderstood the objective.
So I burned 1,400 calories yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was I left the pizza in the oven way too long. It completely darkened, so I was a little.
Okay.
You want me to do another one?
Can you try again?
Since you got two, let me do another one.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
This one's a little more risque. When you're Googling, I don't know if I want to tell this one. When you're Googling the famous Hollywood actor Gary Oldman,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
the R is the most important letter in that entire sentence, in that entire search query.
You see how long it took for the lights to come on over here?
Be sure and type
Google
the
that
R.
real quick.
No,
Ready?
no. Just make
You want to
sure
do it
it's
for us?
capital
You want
R.
to All right, thanks. Thanks for hanging out, folks. We'll be back tomorrow. Call your mom or your dad or somebody. Tell them you love them.
Love you.
That's the wrong song. I did it again.
Politicians and talking heads lying left and right. You can help us bring facts into the light. Don't let your daughter lose her next swim meet to a psychopath dude with fake teeth. Ask State for a comment, he